This Old House Radio Hour is supported by the Home Depot. Whether you're tackling a kitchen upgrade, organizing your garage, or building out that back deck, it's important to keep your projects on track. Fast, free delivery from the Home Depot makes it easy to keep things moving in the right direction. If you're just starting out or you're stuck in the middle, the Home Depot has same-day and next-day delivery, so you can get what you need fast. Maybe you need a tool, more materials, some extra paint and supplies, or a battery to power your way through that project. Whatever you're working on, get fast, free delivery from the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select in-stock items by 4 p.m., subject to availability.
You've put time and care into your home projects. Don't settle for just anything on your walls. Original art is what takes a room from finished to truly complete, and Saatchi Art is where to find it. Browse thousands of affordable, one-of-a-kind artworks that make your home uniquely yours. Visit SaatchiArt.com and get 10% off your first order with code THISOLDHOUSE. That's 10% off at SaatchiArt.com. SaatchiArt.com.
If your home feels a little tired right now, you're not alone. From LAist and APM, American Public Media, it's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. The fastest, most affordable ways to refresh your space that you can do in a weekend.
Smart bulbs are something that you can do very inexpensively. You go down to the store, you buy a bunch of smart bulbs, you connect them to your phone, and that's a very simple fix.
Author John Grisham takes us inside his 200-year-old farmhouse and the daily rituals that have kept him there for decades.
Behind the house, there's my office, once called the summer kitchen. Been my office since 1986, and I go there every morning at 7:30 and start writing.
The hardest part of a renovation isn't the build. It's agreeing on when it's finished. Learn to manage your punch list so your project ends on a high note with your contractor. All this, plus we're answering your home improvement questions at 877-864-7460. Coming up next. It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. If your New Year's resolution is to give a room in your home a new look on a budget, then you're in luck. Blake Becker is a building consultant and creator who shares ideas to help you get a luxury look for your home on a budget. So Blake, what are some of the most affordable ways to give your space a brand new look?
Right off the top of my head, I would say lighting, ambient lighting, task lighting, sconces, table lamps, toe kick lights, under cabinet lights. These are things that can change an entire roomscape that don't break the bank, very minimal on an installation. Mirrors, window treatments, these things dramatically can change a room.
How can lighting give your room such an elevated look?
I'm a lighting nerd. I talk about lighting all the time. So if you have one overhead light, that is going to create weird shadows. It could be harsh. It could be just super bright. On the flip side of that, a lot of new construction homes, you go in and people are just throwing LED cans everywhere. And it's like you're not sure if you're landing a jet inside of there or...
It's like the sun.
Creating spaces via lighting is something that's super important to me. What Kelvin, you said it at 2,700, it's super warm. 3,000 is kind of like the sweet spot, I think, between warm and getting to the bright and the white and the blue scale. A little light behind the TV just changes the glow in the room if you set it to like that yellowy color. Of course, a table lamp will add a certain shade and throw off a certain shadow if you have the ability to do wall sconces. These are ways that you can layer light. You can dim your upper lights to a low, elevate the room with just using stuff you might even have around the house already.
Now, beyond lighting, how effective is using other techniques, maybe like mirrors, when you're trying to bring light into a space?
You kind of see how the light moves through the room before you hang your mirror, kind of figure out a place where you can hang that mirror. And then the natural light that comes in at certain times of the day reflects off of that, refracts off of that actually, and then you can light up a room just by adding a mirror, which is a very inexpensive way. I mean, I think anybody can go to the store and buy a mirror and hang a mirror. So that's a real easy fix.
So let's talk about window coverings. I feel like this is one sort of telltale sign that your room has not been updated in a long time, is looking at the window coverings. What's the best way to update those on a budget? Because it can be very expensive.
Window coverings are a very easy and quick way to give your room a new look. I mean, you have so many options between the newer modern wood and faux wood mini blinds or adjustable shades, as they call them. You have modern roller shades. And then, of course, now the newer, more luxurious ones are the battery-powered, remote, or hardwired linen shades that give you softness and you control the height. Of course, they have to be measured and installed by a professional because you don't want to spend that kind of money and not have them work correctly. But they have the ability to do room darkening. They have shears. They have half open, half closed. You can put them on timers to go down when the sun is shining through the window. And, so that is a way you can really adjust your window treatments. All these things really make a home look luxurious and really wrap up the windows nicely.
And what's the telltale sign that window treatments need to be changed out or they're inexpensive and maybe not giving you that luxurious look that you're after?
Oh, like the ones that are bent or missing. There's a couple missing. I think the old school, very thin plastic mini blinds, I think when people hear the word mini blind, I think that's the type. And if that's what you have, that's what you have. You got to work with it. You can doll them up with putting some window treatments on the side of that, add in a shear.
So moving on to the kitchen, if you want to refresh, what are some budget-friendly weekend projects that you recommend?
The best one would be painting. I mean, painting cabinets right now is the number one way to update the look of your kitchen without having to redo all the countertops and the cabinets themselves.
And how do you decide if your cabinets are sort of good enough to be painted?
Well, nowadays they have all types of different kits, so you can paint almost every, and now don't hold me to that, almost every cabinet style or brand or whatever. So it would just be a matter of, do a little research on what type of paint would work best for your particular type of cabinets, or if it's going to be sanding and restaining. That's a whole nother project, but definitely an option.
And what are your thoughts on replacing cabinet hardware?
That is a very inexpensive fix that you can do. I mean, right today. I mean, you can go down and measure your hardware and go down to a hardware store and pick out new and get whatever works well with your pre-existing finishes.
I always recommend people unscrew one cabinet pull, or especially if it's a pull and not a knob, and take it and match it up because the measurements on some of those are so finicky.
They're never the exact size. Yeah, they're never the exact size.
Take one with you to the store. You'll thank me later.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some really quick things listeners can do in, let's say, an hour to upgrade the look of their home?
Declutter. Going through the house and going through room by room and getting rid of stuff that just doesn't necessarily need to be there. Cleaning off the bookshelves, moving some pictures around, maybe getting rid of some stuff that's just not being used and just collecting dust. That's something that is a very easy fix. Smart bulbs are something that you can do very inexpensively. You go down to the store, you buy a bunch of smart bulbs, you connect them to your phone. You can have colors in one room. You can have yellows in another room. You can have bright whites in a laundry room. And that's a very simple fix. It's unscrewing a light bulb and screwing one in and then setting it to your phone. And then plants and greenery. They can be real. They can be fake. There's some really nice fake options now. And I don't mean fake and by just buying a fake plant. I mean, my wife makes some beautiful holiday decoration plants and arrangements. She shops at a couple of these stores and gets just some amazing things. So those are beautiful. They're interchangeable, and they're something that you can do very quickly.
Absolutely. Well, Blake, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. I'm grateful to be here.
That was Blake Becker. For more information on affordable home upgrades, check out Built by Becker on YouTube. Right now, we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, here on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, Jen. This is Katie from North Hollywood, California.
Hi, Katie. What's your question today?
Today, I would like to know if I need to worry about the hairline fracture lines on my ceiling of my house.
That's a great question.
Because they seem... Yeah, lots of people have these, right? So our house is built in 1941, and the lines have been faint, but they've been getting wider, and they're near openings, like where the exhaust fan from above the stove goes. That one's getting really big, and then one on the ceiling where the return vent is, that one's getting bigger. And also they all seem to be connecting. So I'm nervous that the ceiling is going to collapse any day now.
Well, that is a fair concern. I've got Zach Detmore, a general contractor for the show, here on the line. Zach, your eyes are wide.
Get out of the house,
Zach!
Katie.
Zach! Are you serious?
Get out. Get in your car. drive.
No, you just got to put a pad over your head. Make sure you get out of
gosh.
health. No.
Oh my goodness. So
We have one of those HVAC machines on the roof. Why do they even do that? Why do they put them there?
people are insane. That's what I've learned in this world. They say,
True.
this is the thing that is going to provide the air. So let's put it in the worst environment and let it really struggle, right? You know, let's put our toilet out in the driveway. Anyway, I'm not overly concerned about this, but let's see if we can give you some context. Are these cracks straight or are they crooked and jagged?
Both. We have some wavy river-like lines at one area, and then in one of the rooms, they're kind of like, they're almost straight lines, and they kind of go, you know, there's a right angle that goes to another right angle where the panels might be, you know, the edges are touching each other.
So that's sort of what my line of questioning was. If the house does have drywall, which it may or may not, the seams would be, you know, either running parallel with the front of the house or perpendicular to the front of the house, but they wouldn't be running sort of corner to corner on a 45-degree angle typically. So if you have cracks that are following that line, then that suggests it is cracks in a panel seam. But it doesn't sound like that's what you have, because you said river-like.
Well, the river is in a different location. The two rivers are near the return. What do you call that thing? But where it sucks up the air to the...
Yep, the return grate.
Yeah, and then the other is the exhaust fan cut out in the ceiling above where the stove is.
Got it. Has there been any seismic activity in your area?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Dun, dun,
That's a
dun.
great question. Oh my
Smoking gun,
Yeah,
Zach.
Again, run away, right?
Yeah. So my hunch is, one, the house is not going to fall down. There certainly will be tells before that happens. If you've ever tried to demolish a house, you'll know that, man, these pesky things do not want to fall over. They are so overbuilt and strong. Don't be worried about it.
Oh, wow.
What is happening, and we see this a lot around door openings, but, you know, the house is moving, in your case, because of maybe seismic activity or seasonal things, but houses move and sag, and the panels or whatever the substrate on your wall is cracking. And you're going to notice those cracks coming off the corners of things like doors, usually in my cases, but in your case, it's a return or it's the vent hood, because that's a weak point in the panel itself. So that would explain why those are coming off. Before you moved into the house, someone went through and corrected a bunch of cracks, and those repairs have held, and now they're starting to fail. So I think you're looking at hiring a wall repair professional, probably just a painter, have them address the cracks, fix everything. We typically use like a fiber tape on these joints if it is a drywall ceiling. And if it's not, then your painter will know what the substrate is and what the correct thing to do is. Bickety bip, give them some money. They give you a new ceiling. Job done.
Bickety bip. What is that?
Bippity boppity bop.
Bippity boppity boop.
And I love how you said moving and sagging. It reminded me of myself.
Yeah, I've got some of these cracks forming on the side of my eyes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Katie, we wish you luck with it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I will put my worry level down a few notches, and we all need that right now.
Yeah, Keep it at a
Absolutely.
4. You can worry about something else. Worry about Mike Rowe's feet.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up, we answer more of your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. 877-864-7460. That's next on This Old House Radio Hour. This Old House Radio Hour is supported by the Home Depot. Whether you're tackling a kitchen upgrade, organizing your garage, or building out that back deck, it's important to keep your projects on track. Fast, free delivery from the Home Depot makes it easy to keep things moving in the right direction. If you're just starting out or you're stuck in the middle, the Home Depot has same-day and next-day delivery, so you can get what you need fast. Maybe you need a tool, more materials, some extra paint and supplies, or a battery to power your way through that project. Whatever you're working on, get fast, free delivery from the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select in-stock items by 4 p.m., subject to availability. Today's episode is supported by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the modern alternative to run your business communications. Quo understands just how much the basic stuff matters, like how you should talk to customers and keep your team on the same page. Their cleaner, more modern setup can make everything feel smoother and bring the level-up mindset to your business. Quo allows your entire team to handle calls and texts from one shared number, so there's no more missed messages or disconnected conversations. Since everyone sees the full thread, replies are faster and customers feel genuinely cared for. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/thisoldhouse. That's quo.com/thisoldhouse. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers.
You know when you walk into someone's home and there is something that makes the space feel complete? That's the power of original art. It adds depth and character to a space that prints and other decor can't. At Saatchi Art, finding affordable, handmade, one-of-a-kind art for your home is easier than you think. Visit SaatchiArt.com and get 10% off your first order of original art with code THISOLDHOUSE. That's 10% off at SaatchiArt.com. SaatchiArt.com.
It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. Right now we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hello, this is Daniel Stolte. I'm calling from Tucson, Arizona.
Hi, Daniel. What's your question today?
I bought a pretty old house. It is 70 years old. It's an old brick building here in Tucson. And when I purchased it, there was some very old, ugly carpet in there that I wanted to have out. My concern was, with the old carpets, I wanted to have them out, and I knew there was concrete slab underneath that. So I hired a contractor who told me he could make it really beautiful. So that involves taking the carpet out. And then he called me one day and he said, yeah, we have a problem. It turns out there's tile underneath. And he said the tile needs to be removed, and he warned me that there might be asbestos. So I told him, okay, I'm not sure what to do, a first-time home buyer, so forth. He was very confident he could just remove it. But I know in hindsight he was not an accredited asbestos remover. Anyway, I actually had somebody come in to do a asbestos assessment. I saved a piece. That one did come back with a 5% chrysotile. Of course, now in hindsight, I'm starting to think, what if this was not done right? What if it got into the vents? But if maybe is 5% even anything to worry about?
Yeah, that sounds like, something that obviously scares you to think about in the past. But today we have Mark McCullough, Mason for the show, and Zach Detmore, general contractor for the show, both here to help. So Zach, there was the presence of asbestos. It's mostly been removed. Do we know if there's anything after the fact to worry about there, if it's mainly been removed for quite some time now, years?
Yeah, so there's obviously a risk, but in terms of the products that have asbestos in them, the percentage of asbestos in that was low, and this product is not particularly friable. So if you think of an asbestos insulation wrapping around a pipe that you could crush in your hands and send those particles into the air, which then get lodged in your lungs, that's dangerous. These particles don't really go airborne easily. And if you wet down the floor as you're working, which most professionals do, and amateurs, because it's an easy, inexpensive precaution, there's very little getting in the air and getting on surfaces. So, obviously there's a risk. There's always a risk, but I would say the risk is low and not something I would lose sleep over or be too concerned about. You could potentially, find areas of your house that have never been dusted, like the top of a cabinet, and maybe wipe that down and see if you could have that, dust sample tested to see if there's particulate in it. But I certainly wouldn't be overly concerned about it.
I actually concur. I've been in the situation many times. What Daniel just described is something I was involved with just a few weeks ago, actually. It's one of these things that you can't ignore and you must question. But at one point, when you stretch this out, you'll find out that the risk is present, but it is low.
Okay. I appreciate that. Just a follow up. Shortly after the contractor did the staining and sealing of the concrete, I noticed cracks were forming. And I thought, I know that concrete floors, especially when they're that old slabs, they do crack. I just thought it was odd that it happened so quickly. And I don't think there are foundation issues. Have you heard of instances where a floor was treated like this, like tile removed and then stained and sealed, and then cracks appeared just because of that process? Maybe it wasn't done right?
You don't normally see them 20 years down the road, to be honest, or
Okay.
after that application. That application, again, to me, just wouldn't be responsible for cracking the concrete.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, Daniel, thank you.
Thank you.
Call us now at 877-864-7460. 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hello, hi. This is Lean DeBrucker, and I'm calling from Portland, Maine.
Well, thank you so much for calling. What's your question today?
So I have a very rotten windowsill on the third floor of an old Victorian, and I've contacted many contractors, and they're all telling me that they want to rip out the window and the frame, and that means that I need to hire a lift to do all this work from the outside of the building, and it just seems really destructive and wasteful and costly, and I'm looking for ways to find a way to repair the windowsill from the inside of the building, not from a lift. And I was really wondering if you had advice for me.
Absolutely. Well, we have Zach Detmore, a general contractor for the show, here to help us out.
All right. Let me see if I can contradict these contractors, which I'm skeptical about. Because
contractors, they want more money. Yes.
We love money as a people. All right. So this is, if I opened up your window, let's say it's a double hung window, and I looked out, I put my hands on sort of the windowsill, what I'm touching with my fingers is all rotten. Is that correct?
If I push hard with my finger, I push the wood off. So I could destroy my windowsill part of it. I could really just, and so somebody told me to stop touching it. The contractor.
Leave it alone.
Yes, don't touch. But the part that's closest to the building is intact. It's the bit that's really sticking out that would fall off if I pushed hard.
Got it. And this is the original wooden windows that are in the house, or is there any sort of replacement or modification to this window?
These windows, I believe, are replacement windows.
Okay. And the contractors are saying to remove that replacement window, fix the sill with a new piece of wood, and then put the replacement window back again?
They're saying that to access the sill, they need to yank out. They like to use these violent words to destroy the whole, not just the window, but the frame to everything. And then they don't want to put that original window back in, or that window back in. They want a new window. Yes. And then they want to fix the clapboard on the outside too. And they want to, make the scope of work 10 times bigger than it is.
I think what you're hearing from them is basically they want to put a new construction window in, which is basically installed from the outside, and it deletes all of the infrastructure with what was originally there, which is your weight and chain pockets and the sill that's rotten. And then they're basically creating new trim that goes around it, but it's maybe not the exact same size, and so therefore they have to modify the clapboards around the window. Am I understanding it?
Some of the clapboards, one of the clapboards, is needs replacing regardless of the sill. It's a building from 1900. You start touching anything, and all of a sudden, you find more things that need to be repaired. And so,
right. Yeah, I think you have a good assessment of the situation, which is any person who looks at this recognizes that this is a can of worms project. And they want you to get comfortable with a can of worms price before they get involved with the can of worms, because they know even if, what they're seeing now is a one-day job, probably what they are committing to once they get there is a 3-day job. And they're part covering themselves financially, part managing your expectations and feeling out, are you going to be very upset with them when they say, when we removed the window, we found out that the framing was compromised. And when we found out the framing was compromised, we found out that there was knob and tube. And, we're going to have to move you to a different house while we remediate this asbestos. And so I wish I had a better solution, but based off of their energy, I think you have to do what I tell a lot of people to do, and that's either be willing to take on a full scope of work, which involves ripping and smashing and tearing, or find someone who will sort of seal and caulk and get you that Band-Aid fix until you've either are willing to take on that full scope of work, or you've found the person that feels like the right culture fit to you that can maybe historically work from the inside and do it. And those people are out there, but they also may turn this into a federal case as well. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, I have these conversations a lot with my clients, and in my head, I think, man, I wish I could just delete this job from my portfolio. But these homeowners are so lovely. But it's just not a profitable job for me. It's not a portfolio project for me, and it's not really fun to charge a homeowner thousands of dollars and walk away and say, hey, look at that. It looks the same as when we started. You're poorer. I don't have much to show for it, and I was up in the elements on this lift, which was terrifying, working for 3 days, just saying, I want to be home on the couch right now. So it sounds like, you're going to have to find someone who at least you feel comfortable with, who can be a good steward of the home. But in the meantime, you may want to at least get someone to patch and paint and fix it, just so any water that's getting in there is not creating more work for you in the future.
Yeah. Unfortunately, nobody calls me back. And so I myself took, a bunch of that big stretch caulking to town on this windowsill because people don't call me back. I think
that's a great product.
Until I find that magical fit of somebody who will do this work, or until I'm ready to hire another lift to do work on this house, which is its own headache to get a lift in this town. So, yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate the advice.
No problem. I'll wrap it up with this before I let you go. I'll say it's important to know when you're dating that, if I'm a 6, I need to probably find another 6. And unfortunately, you have like a 1 of a project. So you're not going to land a 10 of a contractor with a 1 of a project.
No.
You know what I mean? So you're going to have to go way in the other direction and be like a 10 of a homeowner with a 1 of a project, and be the best person to land maybe a 4 of a contractor to do this job. But good luck with it.
I appreciate the analogy. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
You can call us now at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi there. This is Rye calling from Trumansburg, New York.
Hi, Rye. What's your question today?
So I have an 1880 farmhouse that I've been fixing up, and I have a lot of lath and plaster walls with wallpaper over them, and I want to minimize the amount of work I have to do to paint them, and there's various spots where the wallpaper has peeled off, and I'm wondering what the best way to patch it is, whether I just use joint compound or whether there's something else.
Absolutely. Well, to help answer your question, we have Mauro Henrique, the painter for the show, and Zach Detmore, a general contractor for the show, both on the line to help. Mauro, does it matter what
Hey, guys.
size the holes are?
Well, one of the best ways. Zach, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to set your expectations, Rye, for what it's going to look like when you paint over wallpaper. Are you prepared for that?
I'm prepared for it to not look perfect.
Okay.
I think a lot of people overestimate how thick paint is, and they think it's going to cover inconsistencies in the wall. But Mauro, that's not really the case, right?
No, but that's a serious risk right there. Remember one thing: when paint dries, it pulls everything out, pulls back. Wallpaper will shrink; it will get wet because paint is wet when you apply it, right?
Right. So what do you remove wallpaper with? Water.
Water.
What's in the paint?
Water. So they're gonna have multiple problems with the water, all right?
So that's sometimes why you'll see people using like a shellac-based primer or something, right, Mauro? Because maybe it won't create that release that we're afraid of with just going with a latex-based paint.
Exactly, shellac-based. People just bend, which is another shellac, shellac-based. It dries faster, but it stinks like hell. All right.
Okay.
Right.
Use
Just like me.
ventilation.
That's why we're all in different locations because of the smell. I just binned myself this morning.
Yeah, I would say before you paint on top of the wallpaper, make sure the wallpaper is safe. It's not peeling over or on the corners or anything like that. But definitely the paint will pull the paper out if you don't prep right. If you don't prime with the proper primer. So it's quite a bit of work.
Would you do 2 coats with a shellac primer?
It all depends on how old is the wallpaper and how thick is the wallpaper that you have there. If you have like,
I think Mauro's saying as many as it takes, right? Because
just plaster it on there. Quarter inch of primer.
Yeah, exactly. How much
let me ask you a question. Isn't that easier to remove the wallpaper and then you paint?
Well, then I'd have just plaster underneath. If I remove the wallpaper, a lot of the plaster is going to come off the wall too. So I'm going to end up, creating a lot more work for myself, which would be the proper thing to do, but I'm lazy. So
I think we need to call a spade a spade. We all know the right thing to do is to remove the wallpaper, and then you have all these plaster problems, and you have to prep the plaster properly with all that work, and this has turned into a whole season of This Old House in this guy's living room. But he doesn't want to do that. All he wants to know is, what am I patching these holes with and how much primer to put on? So anything, right? Mauro, like some setting compound.
Yeah.
Like that you mix would be fine to patch the holes, right?
That'll be fine.
Can we go
where he's at?
Can we pick up the pre-mixed?
Oh, that takes a long time to dry.
No, because there's water in that.
There's still water in there.
So you got to prime before you do the joint compound.
Yes.
Because you want that bin to sort of seal up the primer.
Oh, okay.
Because once we put the joint compound on top of the primer, it's going to want to peel, right, Mauro?
Yes. Yep.
If we didn't prime first.
Sometimes before we paint like a room, we see a lot of cracks and stuff like that. First thing I would do, we'll open up the cracks, we'll take care of the holes in the walls. And then before I patch, that's the way I like to work, I would put a coat of primer on that surface first. Why? Because the patch will adhere better to the primer than most of the bare surface that you find out there.
Okay. That's very good to know.
He's 100% right, because sometimes I've got lazy and I'll just put the joint compound right on the surface, and Mauro's going to know exactly what I'm getting at. You roll the paint on nice and heavy because you're trying to get out of there, and then it's bubble city. The moisture activates the joint compound and it expands, and then you've got these little like dropping patches that you're basically back to square one.
Yep.
And as I'm someone who's just totally lazy, unlike Mauro, I'm just like, it's my house. No one's going to know. And then I'm, up till midnight swearing.
Oh, my God.
Raya, I don't know if we've helped you, but we've given you permission to try.
You've definitely helped me 100%. I would not have known to prime before patching. That's going to save me hopefully a lot of trouble and hopefully my cat a little trouble too.
Oh, yes. At the same time, you're going to see if the primer works. If the primer works on the wallpaper, then we'll be ready to patch hand paint. But if it's starting to pull the paper off, and then they say, well, we got to figure out something else.
Yep.
I think you got this, Rye. Little primer, little paint makes the wall look like what it ain't.
Thank you so much, guys.
Good luck, Rye.
Thanks, Rye.
If you have a question for us, leave us a voicemail on our hotline, 877-864-7460, and we can answer your question next time. Coming up, best-selling author John Grisham shows you his old house.
It all comes back to our kids and grandkids. This is where our kids grew up. But our grandkids now refer to it as the Big Yellow House.
That's next on This Old House Radio Hour. Today's episode is supported by Quo, spelled Quo, the modern alternative to run your business communications. Quo understands just how much the basic stuff matters, like how you should talk to customers and keep your team on the same page. Their cleaner, more modern setup can make everything feel smoother and bring the level-up mindset to your business. Quo allows your entire team to handle calls and texts from one shared number, so there's no more missed messages or disconnected conversations. Since everyone sees the full thread, replies are faster and customers feel genuinely cared for. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/thisoldhouse. That's quo.com/thisoldhouse. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers.
You know when you walk into someone's home and there is something that makes the space feel complete? That's the power of original art. It adds depth and character to a space that prints and other decor can't. At Saatchi Art, finding affordable, handmade, one-of-a-kind art for your home is easier than you think. Visit SaatchiArt.com and get 10% off your first order of original art with code THISOLDHOUSE. That's 10% off at SaatchiArt.com. SaatChi Art.com.
This podcast is supported by Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Welcome back to This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. Coming up, how to finish your renovation before it finishes you. But first, we go to Charlottesville, Virginia. John Grisham writes every morning in the same quiet room, at the same desk, in a home that's over 200 years old. It's here that most of his thrillers begin.
I'm John Grisham. I write novels for a living. This is my old house. For the past 32 years, I've lived in a house that's 200 years old in Charlottesville, Virginia. My wife and I both grew up in the suburbs outside of Memphis, so everything was new and mass-produced and without character. And we always sort of craved something old and with a lot of character and history. And so we first walked in this house in May of 1993. The first thing I noticed were the wooden floors. They're very old, beautiful, refinished. A lot of age, a lot of miles, a lot of steps, a lot of feet have traveled on those floors. There's a big winding staircase, not a grand staircase you see in antebellum homes or big mansions, but a fully functioning spiral staircase right there in front of you. 15-foot ceilings, elaborate trim work. It's all cast concrete, the way they built these things back then. It's incredible, the workmanship. We were just floored by that. The reason we bought the house, we had just built our dream house in Oxford, Mississippi. When the big books started coming out, then the big movies, life got crazy. We started looking for a hiding place. And so that brought us to Charlottesville, Virginia. We bought it on the spot. We went to the lawyer's office 2 weeks later to close the deal. We got in a car to go see our new house, and we got lost and couldn't find it. And we said, this is a good sign. We like this. We are very remote. It's about 10 miles south of Charlottesville in a very beautiful section of Albemarle County. It's yellow, country farmhouse with shades of Second Empire architecture. It goes back to about 1850 when the main house was built. There was a structure On the same site in 1785, that's now part of our kitchen. The Harris family was paying taxes on the property back then. Then the Harrises prospered, and they built the main house where we live now around 1850. It's not an antebellum home. It dates back to that period of time, but it's a very warm and inviting home that's been added to and renovated off and on for 200 years. There's a third-floor tower with a bedroom now, a guest room that's never used. And for the first 2 years, I wrote up there. It was my office. You have to climb these crooked staircases to get up there. And I still have to go up there now when I really want to get away and read. That's a favorite spot, very quiet, very remote. We've added on to the house over the years. The television room is a favorite spot. Watch a lot of sports. And this time of the year when it's cold, we spend a lot of time by the fire watching television or reading. We spend a lot of time on the porches. The house has 4 or 5 porches. We drink coffee early in the morning on the porch if the weather permits. The kids are all gone, so it's just Renee and myself. We walk around the gardens. Renee has put in extensive gardens. We'll pick another porch and have the first glass of wine around 6 o'clock. My wife's a great cook. We enjoy food and wine a lot. We have 4 grandkids, and when they're there, it's all in the kitchen. There's always food being prepared. That's just kind of where we hang out. It's not a big kitchen, but there's always a dog or 2 underfoot. That's the heart and soul of the house because that's where my wife is. She's the heart and soul of the family. And when she starts cooking, it's always a lot of fun. We'll all pitch in, all offer opinions that are not asked for, not always well received, but it's part of the process. Just behind the house, the main house, there's my office. And my office is what was once called the summer kitchen. Back in those days, they were terrified of fires. And so they cooked the food in one building, the summer kitchen. They would bring it over to the main house. When we bought the place 32 years ago, the summer kitchen had collapsed. My wife got with the architects, got architectural approvals, and she rebuilt the summer kitchen into my office. And it's been my office since 1986. And I go there every morning at 7:30 and start writing. First thing you see is a massive double fireplace where they cooked. We had it rebuilt by a stonemason who knew what he was doing because it had crumbled. It's in the center of the building. The building's not very big. The building's probably 25 feet by 80 feet. Against one wall is a table. On the table is a big desktop computer. That's where I work. Nobody else works there. It's very quiet, dark, no phones, no fax, no internet, no music, no interruptions. It's where I go at 7:30 every morning for at least 3 hours and do what I still enjoy doing immensely, and that's writing the next novel. Behind the summer kitchen, not far behind, is the cemetery, probably 50 yards behind the summer kitchen, my office. And it's enclosed with elaborate stonework that dates back for 200 years. It's kind of overgrown now. The graves are very old. No one's been buried there since the 1940s. What's intriguing, though, is that the house was built by one of Mr. Harris's and his slaves around 1850. And so my wife, about 10 years ago, started this project of tracking down the historical records of who the slaves were. The records are not always good, but she's located about 30 direct descendants of the people who worked on Oakwood, the farmers call Oakwood. Some are our neighbors. The names are familiar. They live around the corner. And her goal is to have some type of a monument or a plaque with their names to at least honor and recognize the people who built the place 200 years ago. I'm 70 years old. As we mature, we talk about selling the house, the idea of we're never going to sell it. We can't sell it. It all comes back to our kids and grandkids. This is where our kids grew up. But our grandkids now refer to it as the big yellow house. So we have the memories of them on the farm and even beyond the memories, the expectations of what we'll do next year on the farm. Our best moments are in and out of the house, by the pool, hanging out with the kids. So the roots are too deep to sell it. We couldn't do that.
That was John Grisham. His latest novel, The Widow, is available from JG Publishing. You can get it wherever books are sold. Hiring a contractor is one of the most intimate decisions you make as a homeowner. You're letting a stranger into your home, you're trusting them with your money, your space, and your sanity. So we're pulling back the curtain, explaining what contractors expect and what homeowners usually miss. So we had a caller leave us this voicemail.
So I had a lot of work done on my house, and it was an overwhelming time. And it's been some time since the project wrapped, but I've noticed a few things around the house that have gone unfinished. Like there were some patches that weren't smoothed over. They were supposed to paint in front of the fireplace and never did. How can I go about reaching out to the contractor to finish the job if it's been some time, or am I kind of out of luck? Thanks for helping me navigate what feels like a very awkward situation.
We've heard this story before. Joining us now is Zach Detmore, a general contractor for the show. Zach, how typical is this?
I think it is very typical. I would say the end of a job, the punch-out process is a process that no one looks forward to, and it's hard to execute correctly. So I think it's pretty common, and it's also difficult to catch everything.
Mm-hmm.
Things blocking areas so you can't see them, or you might be in a rush. So the punch list is definitely a tough time.
And G said it has been some time. How quickly do you want to address these kinds of things if you do see something pop up that maybe they missed, or I don't know, did it just, like you said, it wasn't on the punch list, so it didn't get done?
Yeah, so the thing that is extremely important is to understand that during construction, when we have protection on the floor, when the homeowner's belongings aren't in the way, it might take us 10 to 20 minutes to patch and paint something. When the homeowner is living in the space and their belongings are all over, and you have to protect the floor and work around their schedule and maybe move their belongings out of the way, that's a completely different job. So the onus is on the homeowner to define what done looks like. I like to sort of describe this transaction to the homeowner like, this is my space. And when we decided as a team that this is satisfactory, I'm going to throw you the keys and you're accepting this house in the condition it's in.
Zach, this isn't really painting like a lovely picture of a job well done.
Well, you don't want them to bleed out, right? And we can be talking about, I had a client recently put on the punch list something that was only visible when you were laying on your stomach with your ear to the floor and it was sort of up behind the back of a toilet. You know, just because there's something on the punch list that the contractor doesn't feel is within the allowable tolerances, it doesn't mean it's always the contractor's fault.
Yeah.
It's a really tough situation because you don't want it to drag on and on because that affects the homeowner who usually really wants to move in. So you kind of want to say, let's make a win-win. You take all the time you need to make a list of all the things that are in punch list, but understand that when we say punch list is over with, you can move into the space. And then we are no longer in punch list, because the issue is the homeowner moves in prematurely and starts pointing out things while their belongings are in there. And then what would be a 2-day job turns into a 6-week job.
So you're talking about this concept of a punch list at the end of a job. What is a best case scenario for wrapping a job? What does that look like?
Sure. So in the case of like full home renovation, typically the homeowner is anxious to get into the space. And so we're going to manage their expectation by saying, we want you to get into the space, but it needs to be punched out before you can occupy these spaces. So what we're going to do is have a meeting under normal lighting conditions. And I say that because sometimes you will have a client who will bring in flood lamps, for example, to a space where it won't be lit that way, right?
Yeah.
We want this house to look how it's going to look during normal use. So we have that meeting. The homeowner has the opportunity to document all things. Typically, we like to put masking tape on items. So there's a visual cue. If you have a paper list where it says, fix crack in wall to the left of the window, we might spend a great bit of time fixing something that the homeowner didn't know was an
it
issue.
Wasn't the right crack.
And then the crack that they did have an issue with, we completely ignore. So, and then we have an app we use. It's basically a to-do list app. Once that list is done, then it's the homeowner's space, and they'll come, we'll do a final walkthrough. They say, yep, everything's good here. And then typically a couple things will come up after they move in, like, oh, we didn't notice X, Y, and Z. And that's totally reasonable. What you want to avoid is a homeowner moving into a space and having 100 list item. We're talking, refloating walls, super dusty work, repainting entire areas. That's really unacceptable. That's a totally different job that's now happening in an occupied space. So that's really what we're trying to avoid. There's no shystiness. We're just saying, you determine what's acceptable. We fix that when it's still in the construction phase, and then you move in, right?
So that is on a sort of a grand scale of a home renovation, home remodel. What if you're working on a small project with a contractor? They come in, they're doing work, they're coming back and forth, back and forth. What does the sort of end of that relationship look like, where there should be a reasonable agreement that the work has been completed?
Yeah, I mean, typically it's nice to have a scope of work so it's somewhat defined what is and is not included in anything. But typically there's a back and forth, when the contractor's saying, all right, tomorrow we're going to wrap up. And that should be the homeowner's cue to say, it's in the contractor's mind that they're wrapping up. So now's the time I can start bringing those items to them. Certainly as homeowners, and I do this myself, they'll be halfway through a project. I'm like, I'm noticing you missed X, Y, and Z. And they're like, well, yeah, I have missed those things because the job's not done yet, right? Let me finish and then we will get those. That's a tough thing to do as a homeowner, is balance the micromanaging, but also make sure you're notifying the contractor early enough that they can catch things. And that really comes from trust. We do something called a daily log, where at the end of the day, we say, this is what we got done and this is what's happening tomorrow. And that's really helpful for the customer to know, because then if we say something is complete, like we're done painting, then that's a great opportunity for them to jump in and say, well, actually, I noticed X, Y, and Z. Could you just hit those up while you still have the paint out? So communicating, what your work in progress is can be really helpful too.
So in the case of this caller, it's been some time since the contractor has left the job. You're saying it's not a bad idea to reach out and say, hey, these are things that I've been noticing, but also best case scenario is to really address this at the time of work. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. So we don't have the context for the relationship between contractor and homeowner. Did it end well? Did it not end well? Did the contractor very clearly state, once you move in, punch list is over? Or is the contractor in the wrong here and said, I'm just going to skip out on this scope of work and get paid and who cares, right? Yep. So I think, like anything, the homeowner should lead with their intentions. Hey, I've noticed these things that I thought were on the list. Let me know your recommendation for this. You're not being nasty. You're just sharing the information. Is this something you would charge me for? Is this something that's included with what I already did? What do I need to do to prepare? How can I schedule this being taken care of? Just want to get it taken care of.
And that makes perfect sense to me. Definitely, every time you're having someone work on any part of your home, it makes sense to do a walkthrough towards the end of a project and really come to that prepared. If you have some items that you've noticed, try as hard as you can not to wait until after the fact to call 3 days later, 5 days later, and sort of tack on and have them have to come all the way back with all their tools and possibly, make a new mess. And I can see where that would be the better approach.
Exactly.
Great advice. We appreciate it. If you have a question for us about your home or how to hire for your next project, call our hotline at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. And now it's time for one last thing. My favorite tool.
Hey, Jen, it's Zach Detmore, general contractor for the show, and my favorite tool is a laser level. And a lot of people, if they search the term laser level, they will find, horizontal ones and vertical ones. But what you really want to look for is a crosshair laser level. So this is a laser level that has 3 beams. And if you turn them all on, you would have one horizontally throwing a line around the room, one vertically throwing a line around the room, and then one on the other axis creating a perfectly square line on the floor, throwing an axis vertically around the room. And we would call that like a crosshair laser, because if you look on the floor, there's actually 2 lines running away from each other that are perfectly square to each other. And this is a type of laser level I think offers a tremendous amount of value. Common around the house uses might be mounting a towel bar if you want something horizontal, mounting a picture if you want something vertical, even peel and stick tile down. It'll lay a straight line on the floor and you can follow that and work off it so you're not really struggling on your install. So it's just a super versatile tool.
We'll see you next week on This Old House Radio Hour. Our show is distributed by and co-produced by LAist Studios and APM, American Public Media. This Old House Radio Hour was created and produced by Ember 20. Listen to new episodes of the podcast every Tuesday on your app of choice. You can follow This Old House on all the socials at This Old House, all one word. We'll see you next week.